What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to talk about microphones and pickups. So you know that video, that whole Chicago Music Exchange thing with Paul Reed Smith and whatever, talking about Tonewood, and he was talking about violins and all this other stuff. We're not going to talk about any of that, but one of the questions that has come out of that repeatedly, actually, over the last week or so, and honestly over time, and I've never really addressed it or talked about it on this channel, is what is the difference between a microphone and a pickup, a guitar pickup? When you first look at them, you first think about what they do, a lot of people get them confused. A lot of people think they are the same. A lot of people think they are the same action. In fact, there are some languages other than English that will actually refer to a guitar pickup as a microphone. If you speak one of those languages, let us know what that language is and put it in the comments. I've just seen it in comment sections, and people talk about it over years. So I don't know specifically, but I've just heard about it. So today we are going to dive into this, and we're going to talk about why an electric guitar pickup and a microphone are different. The reason it's important is because when we hear about kind of the conflation of acoustic and electric instruments confusing the whole idea how they work, an acoustic instrument, an acoustic guitar, a banjo, a mandolin is a percussive instrument, and it works off of the concept of air moving. An electric instrument works off the concept of taking a kinetic energy and transferring it into electricity. And so it's the same thing with our voice. When we are amplifying our voice, when I'm talking into this microphone, I'm actually moving air. When I play an electric guitar, I am just changing kinetic energy into electricity. And you might say, well, we're doing exactly the same thing, aren't we? Yes and no. We're going to talk about two kinds of microphones today. We're going to talk about an electric condenser microphone, and we're going to talk about a dynamic microphone. And I have this really cool, goofy thing that I made. And then we're going to talk about how an electric guitar pickup works and how they're different. Okay, so check this out. Here's my microphone. Okay, I know this sounds ridiculous, but it was the easiest way for me to try to kind of explain this to you. So what we have here is a spring and a paper plate and a soda can. It's actually a fizzy water can. We're going to call this the magnet. Okay, so on a microphone, when you talk into the top of the microphone, the very first thing that the air touches is this diaphragm, right? And it moves it. So our talking vibrates, that moves the air, and then the air moves this diaphragm. Sometimes it'll move it just on the center, and the edges will be, most of the time, the center will move and the edges will be fixed, like around the outside, and this will actually be moving up and down, okay? So when that moves up and down, this coil is going like this constantly, okay? It's kind of moving like this constantly. Very reminiscent to a speaker, but backwards. So then we have a magnet that goes in between there, and you notice we've got two ends here for wires to hook up to, okay? So those wires go off to the amp, okay? So this is a dynamic microphone, and so that's kind of floating on top of there, and that's vibrating, and you see that coil going up and down on the outside of that magnet? Now that is making electricity. That electricity is going through those two wires, and then those two wires are going to your amplifier, of some sort, like a vocal mic amplifier or a preamp or whatever, and being amplified. But that air motion moving that coil up and down over that magnet is what is causing that electricity to be made. Now that's a dynamic microphone, and so what we're doing is we're taking the mechanical action of this, turning it into electricity. So it's sort of the same, but it's not. Now, let's talk about a condenser microphone. All right, this is a little harder to illustrate, so we're just going to draw it, okay? So what we'll have on a condenser microphone is you're actually making a sort of a capacitor. So what you'll have is you'll have a membrane on the top of something very, very, very thin, and you'll typically have some sort of block or something that insulates between the two, and then you'll have like some sort of metal plate underneath it, okay? So you've got this metal plate with a very thin membrane on the top. And what's coming out of it then is a wire here and a wire here to an amplifier. Okay? So this is basically like a preamp that is usually powered by some sort of phantom power or a battery or whatever. That's why condensers typically have batteries or some kind of power supply. So you have this very thin membrane up here and this metal plate down here. And typically what happens is as the sound waves hit this membrane, okay, and cause it to vibrate, the space between here, because there's a void between here, causes the capacitance of the capacitance between these two plates to change. And when that capacitance changes between the space right here, between this membrane on top and this plate here, that capacitance change causes electricity over here. So we're taking air, we're pushing down here, and we are causing electricity to happen. That's how this is very oversimplified, obviously, and there's way more science to this, but that's how a condenser microphone basically works. Okay, so here is how a magnetic pickup in a guitar works. This is a piece of wire that I just pulled off of my microphone illustration, but we'll just use it for this. So this is the string. So this string becomes basically magnetized when it's within the magnetic field of the pickup, right? And as it moves, then, that is what creates inductance in the coil, and that is what creates electricity. If the string does not move, it will not make sound. And you could say, well, when I tap on the guitar, I'm using percussion to make sound. No, you're not. You're actually going like this, that's causing the string to move. Or you're causing parts in the pickup to move independently from each other and causing the inducting of the pickup to happen. There has to be motion of a ferrous material for this to work. If there is no motion of a ferrous material, this will not make sound. So no matter, I don't care what you talk about the resonance, bro, and all that stuff, tapping on your guitar and all that and everything, microphonic pickups, all of that, that's basically a misnomer. Editing, Dylan, I want to bust in right here. Let's just get a little bit more specific about this. So when you hear microphonic pickup, what that means is there are other parts in the pickup within it, okay, that are moving and causing inductance within the pickup. So if the cover moves in relation to the pickup, if the screws move in relation to the pickup, if the base plate, the coil and the magnet, if the magnet moves around at all, if the cover moves around at all, if the screws move around at all, if the bobbins move around at all, if anything moves internally to that pickup, then it's going to cause inductance. You don't even need strings on the guitar for this. So that's why when we wax pot them, it's supposed to keep all that stuff still so that you don't have those banging around noises, right? That microphonicness. Now, another thing that happens, and I forgot to address it, that's why I'm busting in here, is people will talk about, yeah, well, when I can yell into my guitar and it will make sound. Two things. One, you're just moving the strings with your mouth. The sound waves from your face are moving the strings, which is moving the pickup. Take the strings off of the guitar and that will happen a lot less. Now, make sure that the pickup is wax potted and that the guitar is not moving around at all, it's still, then you will not make sound yelling into your guitar, more or less. If you do, that means that you still have metallic parts moving around within the pickup. Electromagnetism cannot work without magnetism and a ferrous metal to move within that magnetic field or become part of that magnetic field. So all of this extraneous vibration talk that people talk about is a bunch of BS, because you need a ferrous material to move within or be part of a magnetic field for it to work. So
All of that microphonic, like I said, it's one of those things, people talk about it all the time, but the science is the science. Okay, back to the video.
You have to have something in the magnetic field of this coil moving that is ferrous for sound to work. That is how an electric guitar pickup works. This goes like this, and because it's magnetized by the magnetic field, like that, it causes inductance in here, which makes electricity. So why does any of this matter at all whatsoever? Because we're doing two different things. We're using two different kinds of sciences to do a similar thing. Basically, this, like I said, needs that ferrous material within the magnetic field to work. A microphone, such as the condenser microphone or the dynamic microphone, is air pressure. It is air pressure pushing on a diaphragm, causing motion that becomes electricity. Why is this important to know the difference? Because when you build an electric guitar, what you're concerned about is the efficiency of the string over the pickup. Now, the building materials and the build quality and all that sort of stuff really matter when it comes to all of that, because you want to be able to transfer as much energy. When we pluck the string, we get a transverse wave that comes back and forth like this. So when we go like this, in the pictures we see this like balloon thing that goes up and down, but what we're actually doing is we're introducing a transverse wave. So it goes from the end of the string back and forth like this. When we pluck this string, it goes back and forth, okay? And so when we're designing a guitar, when we're doing maintenance on a guitar, we're doing problem solving with an electric guitar, we want to be able to keep as much energy between the saddle and the nut as possible, thus creating sustain, bro, because we want it to last as long as we intend. And we also want it to be as accurate as we intend with our finger. So when we pluck the string, we want this motion to be as accurately transferred as possible to the pickup. That's not how a microphone works. When I tap on the guitar, when I'm like, oh, totally resonant, bro, that has nothing to do with how a pickup works. All that's doing is moving the string, or moving the bridge and moving the string. A microphone, air pressure. You're taking air pressure from your voice. It's a speaker backwards, basically. So when you hear people say microphonic pickup, that's just loose parts. Microphonic pickups are just loose parts. They don't prove anything. They're just loose parts. They're not supposed to be like that. Of course, you can use them like that, I guess, if you want to, but the intention is not for them to be like that, right? So, microphone, electric guitar pickup, two different things. Now, acoustic pickups, there's a little mix there, and there's some other technologies that get into that. That's a completely separate thing and specific thing. If you want me to get into that, we can make a video about that as well. But I just wanted to cover today electric guitar pickup versus microphone. Two different things. You guys, it's been fun. Thanks for hanging out. If you have any questions about this, put it in the comments below. We can chat about it on the podcast tomorrow. We have a podcast every Tuesday, the Just Gonna Say It podcast. We have a live stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. We have Patreon. We have all kinds of stuff. We're getting close to 100,000 subscribers. Been working at this a long time. Do me a favor, if you would, hit the subscribe button and the like button, and we will talk to you in the next video.